Howdy, everyone. Good morning, America and Europe and Canada and from all over the world and Africa. Everyone, let me know where you're streaming from this morning. Thank you for joining us. Hot Topics at 10 o'clock. Hello from Uruguay, someone on TikTok says. Holy schmoly. All over. Good morning, everybody. Let me know where you're streaming from, where you're watching us stream live. I'm so glad that you're here. We have been going through a fantastic show prepared for you. Portland, Oregon loves Don Lemon. Thank you, Norman Sowards. Montreal, I said that. Durham, North Carolina. Okay, did you guys see this interview with Donald Trump and Elon Musk? This whole interview, I'm going, where's JD Vance? What is JD Vance thinking about this? And there's some lawyers somewhere going, I'm sure they were taking more notes than at the Super Bowl with Kendrick Lamar for Drake. Because there's a lot of stuff in this interview that we're going to talk about. And also, is it lying? Misinformation, as they say? Are they doing it purposely? Or do they just not know what's going on? Because the math ain't mathing. When it comes to DOGE, we know that kids can't read code. So they're like, people are 150 years old are getting Social Security. Nope, they're not. It's a computer coding called COBOL, and it defaults to 1875. So you see, if they don't know, we told you the whole thing. If they don't know the person's correct date of birth, some old people, like, we weren't sure exactly how old my grandmother was because the records weren't so great back in the day. So someone like my grandmother, because they weren't sure if she was like 1919, 1917, they weren't sure. So someone like her, they may just default on the thing like date of birth not exactly known. So this computer thing defaults to 1875. And then they say, oh my gosh, you have all of these people. And if people, perhaps they are immigrants legally, they come, they don't really have their proper birth certificate or whatever. It doesn't sort of jibe with how America does it. Right? And then the computer goes 1875, and then all of a sudden it's fraudulent because these folks are supposedly getting Social Security checks, but it's just like the DOGE teens don't know how to read the code. And here's the problem. They don't know how the government works, right? And because they don't know how the government works, they're screwing things up. They're messing with people's lives, livelihoods, checks, all of that, money, because they don't know. But the math ain't mathing. The last few days, the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has been proven to be anything but efficient. I wonder if they're costing us money for their wastefulness, for their inefficiency. There's nothing efficient about taking a buzzsaw to the federal workforce, randomly firing patriots and experts. And the talent drain and the brain drain and the history, the sense of history, all of that drain on the government. I have a very, very wise friend who used to run a media companies. And he says the same thing about these folks who are coming in now, and they're just slashing these media companies. And he said they're taking the heart out of the companies, which really is, that's why people work for these companies. That has everything to do with morale. And my friend has a very good saying. Because when he ran these media companies that I know, they were amazing. People wanted to come to work. Seriously, just a great CEO. And every time I want advice, I go to him. And I say, hey, I'm going to tell what his name is. What is going on with all of this? And, all of these cuts that are happening at all of these companies, and they're getting rid of the best people. And why are they hiring second tier people on the air like the JV? And he goes, Don, They know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. Because some things you have to pay for. If you want good talent and smart people, you got to pay for it. If you want great working conditions, you got to pay for it. If you want good morale, you got to pay for that. You got to pay people in. They have to have perks. They've got to have healthcare. Thank you for the galaxy on TikTok. They have to. So they know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. And they end up stripping the company of the things that made it the company that folks wanted to work for in the first place. And if you're a media company, you see it on the air. You know, they're cutting subs and all this. It's not just that. It's that people look on the air and they go, something's not sitting right here. So it's the same thing with our government. The people who are in this DOGE department, these young people and the people running it, they know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. They don't appreciate the value of wisdom, appreciate the institutional knowledge that older people may have, or people who just career professionals who work there, like the young man we interviewed yesterday, Charlie, who said, I quit a much more lucrative job to take this government job because I believed in the mission. And then all of a sudden they fired me. Basically, it was like someone breaking up with you via text message. The cost of everything, the value of nothing. Is it really inefficient? Is it really efficient to randomly fire patriots and experts, to take people's livelihoods away? Is it? There is nothing, I believe, efficient about chasing career professionals out of the government only to turn around later and try to bring them back because, hey, they were in control of the nuclear codes. What is efficient about that? If you're a good businessman, then you know that. If you're a good business person, a good businesswoman or man, these are business children now who don't know. And most of all, there's nothing efficient about reportedly falsifying records to cover up your screw-ups. We're going to get into that because the math ain't mathing. We got a bunch of sayings today. The math ain't mathing, and the cost of everything and the value of nothing. These DOGE teens, they may be young, but they're not innocent. These are the folks who've been reportedly giving away company secrets and classified or private information, getting fired from companies. Those are reports. And not reports. These are the teens, or one of the teens who's posting racist shit online. Deeply troubled individuals. Bad dudes, as they say. The cost of everything and the value of nothing. Now, I just want to play this because, I mentioned Jesse Walters yesterday. Jesse Waters yesterday. And let's talk about the math here, okay? Because this is what he says. This is apparently his mantra. Watch this.
What never lies besides George Washington? Math. Math never lies. Math always tells the truth. DOGE is math.
Okay. I have made a commitment never to lie. It's always better to tell the truth because a lie is always worse than the truth and the cover up. So it's easy just to tell the truth. Always. Hey, Don, what did you think of my demo tape? Well, wow, there's some great things that you need to work on. You will never catch me lying, ever. And it's so easy. Like once you make a commitment to that, it's so easy. It's easier than cutting sugar out of your life. It really is. Always tell the truth. So the math ain't mathing. I want to pull up this New York Times report, and then I'm going to get into this interview because you want to see this interview. Trust me, you want to see this interview, okay? DOGE claimed that it saved $8 billion in one contract. It was actually $8 million. But the New York Times was actually less than that. But yet, DOGE Did what? They didn't say, come back and say, look, if Caroline Leavitt today does not come back and say we screwed up because she's been on the news and she's been, they're saving money and we, the American people, and this is what the president and blah, 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 blah. Can somebody adjust her battery in the back? If she doesn't come back today and say, oh, my bad, our bad, we screwed up, then why you should not trust anything that she says from the podium. And if the DOGE folks, they had the opportunity last night in this interview, wait till you see this interview. Wait. And I'm going to point out to you why, it was like Drake's lawyers on Sunday night for the Super Bowl. Because they were like, wait, did they actually say that out loud? But maybe they don't care, which they probably don't. The math ain't mathin', okay? Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the like. We depend on your generosity of just sometimes clicking the button and subscribe. It's all free because it affects the algorithm and more people get to be aware of our channel and the great conversations and the great information that you get here on the Don Lemon channel, on the Don Lemon Show, Hot Topics at 10 a.m. Okay? DOGE equals false information, says Deborah M. So let's talk about this because they didn't mention it in the interview last night. I have not heard it from the White House. This is Jamie Dupree tweeting about this $8 million, okay? So the DOGE team finally posting examples of where they have cut spending. This one claims $8 billion in savings, the bottom figure there. But if you look at the fine print on the upper right, it's a contract that's instead valued at $8 million. $8 million, not billion, 8 million. So I show you that because that's when I say the math ain't mathing. So Andy, go back please to the New York Times. Let's go through some of this reporting. Let me just tell you about this Department of Government Efficiency. It should be DOGE, DOGI, the Department of Government Inefficiency. The Department of Government Efficiency, the federal cost-cutting initiative championed by Elon Musk, published on Monday a list of government contracts it has canceled, together amounting to about $16 billion in savings, itemized on a new wall of receipts on its website. Almost half of those line item savings could be attributed to a single and these people are sitting around in Fox News and they're just eating up this bullshit. Please, sir, may I have some more? A single line item, single $8 billion contract for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. But it appears that the DOGE list vastly overstated the actual intended value of that contract. Kev, the creator, yes, incompetence at its finest, inefficiency, incompetence at its finest, Kev, the creator, you're right. Efficiency to pickpocket the poor and the middle class, says Kristen Thompson. Okay, it appears that the DOGE list vastly overstated the actual intended value of that contract. A closer scrutiny of a federal database shows that a recent version of the contract was for $8 million, not $8 billion. A larger total savings number published on the site, $55 billion, lacked specific documentation. Remember, they said, transparency. They just said that the other day. We're transparent about this. So I'm just not going to go into that. Well, the contractor was a company called D&G Support Services. It provided a program of technical support services for the Office of Diversity and Civil Rights at ICE. So they were like all, ooh, this is a diversity thing and we're going to save so much money. Okay, look, it's not even, scroll down, keep going. The Trump administration has been purging diversity programs for the federal government. So this was like catnip to them. They were like, oh my gosh, this is a diversity program. Look, it's $8 billion. Oh my gosh, we're going to tell the people we're saving so much. By examining past versions of the contract listed on the federal procurement data system, the upshot determined that the federal award approved in September of 2022 had initially listed a total value of $8 billion. $8 billion. But on January 22nd this year, that figure was updated to $8 million on January 22nd. So here's the thing. According to the database, the contract was terminated about a week later. So, for context, $8 billion, nearly the size of the entire budget for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It was a clerical error, or just an error of saying $8 billion. Now, the Times is fair here. It says, it's possible that DOGE or someone else in the Trump administration can claim credit for fixing the error in the contracting database, given that the value was downgraded to $8 million 2 days after President Trump took office. But it's also clear that the government was not spending $8 billion on the damn contract. In the 2.5 years since it was signed, this is where I say it's actually less than $8 billion. In the 2.5 years since it was signed, $2.5 million had already been spent. The contract appeared set to expire in 2027. So what does that mean? It's like $5.5 billion rather than $8 billion. $5 billion of savings. 5 million, excuse me, of savings. So it's $5.5 million rather than $8 million. But initially they said it was $8 billion. You guys get what I'm saying. You guys get what I'm saying. Amy C says, how much money will Musk break in over 12 months' time? All wasteful spending, all of it. Okay, hold that thought, Amy C. We're going to talk about it. So, by Wednesday morning, DOGE had updated its list to show $8 million in savings, though it did not acknowledge the error or explain how it might affect its calculation of total money saved, which remained unchanged. A loss of $8 billion in savings would represent nearly 15% of the total savings claimed by DOGE. Is there more, Andy? Keep going. So here it is. Even the 8 million, they're saying what I'm saying, is an upper bound of the amount saved by canceling the contract. DOGE. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not that great at math. I'm surprised that I came up with the 5.5 because since I didn't even read this far, since 2.5 million had already been spent on the contract, according to data of USAspending.gov, that suggests that canceling it saved $5.5 million at most. If you want to call it a savings, because if it's actually doing something to help something, it's not a savings because you have to pay for work and things to get done. So this is something that they just wanted to get rid of. So is that really a savings? It depends on how you look at it. But let's just give them that. Okay, they want to get rid of this and that it is wasteful. I'm not saying that it's wasteful because it's probably not, especially if you're dealing with initiatives for ICE and diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's probably some good things in that. And it is, when you look at something that costs $8 million, that is not even a rounding error. That's a little speck. That's not even a teardrop in the ocean. That's like a mist in the ocean. December Rose, I got you. Stand by. I see you. The $7.992 billion mistake was discovered simply because it was the first item that Upshot reviewed after sorting the list of savings amount. So where's DOGE? Why aren't they telling you that they made this mistake? That they're actually not seeing all of these savings? Now remember, these savings, they are not necessarily objective. They're subjective. Because in order to have initiatives and programs that you're going to do good for the government and for the American people, you're going to have to spend money to do it. So it's only where if you find that something is not important, that you say, this is not important to me, therefore we're going to get rid of it. So therefore it is a savings. Because you may like and need air conditioning, right? In your home. So you got to pay for that, which makes your electricity bill go higher. But you need that. You may have, a kid or an older person or whatever, or maybe you just don't want to sweat at night. So you have to pay for the air conditioning. Someone else may come along and say, I don't use air conditioning. I don't like it. But does that mean that it is wasteful? No. So you say, look, got rid of the air conditioning. That is going to save us $15,000 a year in something and the initial cost of putting it, whatever it is. And so that looks like a saving on a spreadsheet, but spreadsheets, math doesn't lie, but spreadsheets also don't tell you. Hello, I'm going there. So who can answer? Who knows the next sentence that I'm going to say? Let's see. I'm not even going to say. A spreadsheet doesn't tell you what. I can't believe I'm like a professor here. You guys don't. A spreadsheet doesn't tell you what. Anybody, anyone. You listening? No. Okay. I'll tell you. So a spreadsheet will tell you how much something costs. But it doesn't tell you the value of something. Folks, no, thank you very much. Chris Olson got it. Following Professor Lemon here. A spreadsheet will tell you the cost of whatever it is, but never the value. So it'll tell you in my little example how much air conditioning is going to cost you for a year, but it doesn't tell you the value of that. It doesn't tell you how your wife or whatever who's getting dressed is like, oh my gosh, I don't have to sweat. I can just. There is value in that you have to pay for. That your kids don't have to sweat. That your house isn't warm. That it doesn't tell you that you will probably save money because your refrigerator isn't working overtime on its own. It doesn't tell you that you may save money on clothing, that you don't have to dry clean as much or wash as much, or you wash as much sheets or all that stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it tells you the cost of things, but not the value. And so my friend, who is my mentor, is a very smart man. You should be a professor, Don. You should make a good journalism professor. Thank you, Sabrina Hogan. It tells you the cost. People know, these guys know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. And quite frankly, they don't know the cost of everything because they got the cost wrong. Not 8 billion, it's 8 million. And in these diversity issues and these ICE initiatives, and these ICE initiatives, there was some value in that is incalculable as it relates to a spreadsheet. So all of this bullshit about we're saving you this and we're doing that, it's all smoke and mirrors. It is a lie. So let's put the first one back up. Jamie Dupree. All right, guys, make sure you hit the hearts or make sure you hit the thumbs up and make sure you follow and subscribe. So like and subscribe because anyway, so this may be a little bit, maybe you think it's a little bit too didactic or too whatever, pedantic, but $8 million, not $8 billion. Is that efficiency? Jamie Dupree again on the DOGE records. So he said, the DOGE team is finally posting examples of where they have cut spending. This one claims $8 billion in savings, bottom figure. That's the one that we read. But if you look at the fine print upper right, it's a contract that instead is valued at $8 million. And then he goes back and said, not sure what's going on here. But the documents shown by DOGE and cited earlier for the $8 million in ICE savings has now been changed to $8 billion in the federal procurement data system. Which means what? Is this intentional deception here? Oh my gosh, we have egg on our face, so we've got to keep up this lie of $8 billion in order to justify this DOGE department, which, by the way, the White House is saying that Elon Musk is not an employee of DOGE. I'm just saying, it's in court records. In New Mexico filed a suit against DOGE, and it's saying that Elon Musk is not an employee of DOGE, and he has no decision-making capabilities. Now, look, I'm not saying that, but that's what the reporting is saying. That's what the court filing says. That's what the court filing says. So, then what the hell is he? Okay, Amanda Belcher, okay. They say, thank you, Amanda Belcher in the chat is saying, then what the hell is he? According to the court filing, Elon Musk is an employee of the White House and a presidential advisor. Now, remember, if my memory is correct, I think the reporting is that Kev the Creator says that shadow president. The reporting is that Elon Musk is not an official employee of the government, therefore, and because he has government contracts, therefore there's no conflict of interest. But in these court filings, they're saying that he is an official employee of the White House. Would that not make him a government employee? So I said in my post last night on social media, if he is an official employee of the White House and an advisor to the president, doesn't that put him in a governmental role? And if he has government contracts, isn't that a conflict of interest? I don't know. I'm just asking. Made legal minds. You lawyers out there, tell me. Stephen Bruno says, thank you for your support. Says, DOGE is a perfect example of why you don't hire trolls from the comment section. So, Nanda Belcher, did I answer your question? Because that's what they say he officially is. Now, so are they admitting in these court papers that there is a conflict of interest so that they can get out of the legal part of it by saying that he can't make decisions and therefore he didn't fire these people who are filing lawsuits, saying that DOGE does not have the authority to be able to fire me? I'm just asking. Okay, so last night, the president and the, I guess, official advisor to the president and the head of DOGE, I think they said he was in an advisory role in DOGE. He's in an advisory role at DOGE. And Elon Musk did an interview on the Fox News with the Sean Hannity, and they said that they are very caring and that they are very competent. Now, remember the things that I just showed you, and remember the nuclear folks that they had to try to rehire, and they also had to rehire. Who else did they have to rehire? Who else did they have to rehire, producers? They had to rehire some other folks, the nuclear people and some other folks that they want
working on the bird flu research.
On the bird flu, thank you. Because they got rid of some of the bird flu people. So they're saying competence. Oh, we messed up. We shouldn't have fired the nuclear people. We messed up. We should have fired the bird flu people. And then we got the $8 billion/million. Competence. And then we had a young man on the show yesterday, or this week, who said that basically he got fired. It was like someone breaking up with him, like a text message. He felt it was heartless. Again, that's according to him. So competence and caring. Here is part of the Sean Hannity on the Fox News interview.
And I just want to mention a couple, but I'm going to scroll it.
Well, I guess at a high level, I think it's what the president mentioned earlier, which is that in order to save taxpayer money, it comes down to two things. competence and caring. And when the president was shown the outrageous bill for the new Air Force One.
Can you stop? Can you start from the beginning? Because is that now? Listen, is someone laughing here? Is that Sean Hannity laughing? Did you guys hear that? All right, tell me if I'm wrong, but start from the beginning. I want you to listen to it closely, please.
the ID, and I just want to mention a couple, but I'm going to scroll it. And
Well, I guess at a high level, I think it's what the president mentioned earlier, which is that in order to save taxpayer money, it comes down to two things: competence and caring. And when the president was shown the outrageous bill for the new Air Force One, and then negotiated it down, if the president had not applied competence and caring, the price would have been 50% higher, literally 50% higher. The president cared, the president was competent, the price was not 50% higher as a result. And so when you add more competence and caring, you get a better deal for the American people.
But we could take.
Okay, no, look, now, I'm old enough to remember. Do you remember? You guys don't remember this. When they were talking about the new Air Force One and Donald Trump had all of these design changes for Air Force One. This is just a little side note. He had all these design changes for Air Force One that was going to cost way more money. And then he said he was fighting with them. He goes, you know, you can't. He wanted to bring the cost of the plane down. This is old. They're talking about old stuff. This is from the first administration. This is 6, 7, 8 years old. Do you remember that? Okay, I remember that, right? Someone on that, I remember that. And so this is old stuff. But the interesting thing for me is competence and caring. When you think about all of these people who are being let go, and they're telling, you've seen the stories of how they're saying they're being let go, and they're not even sure if it's from an official agency because it's like from a Microsoft email that is not safe, they believe, they've been trained and told you report these sorts of emails because unless it comes from a .gov or an official government email, then it is spam. But that's how they're being fired. And people who they don't even know who they are, what their experience is, any of those things. And then you get the competence part. Right? And then you get the competence part. These are people. When was the last time, do you think, that Donald Trump took a commercial flight? If ever. Or Musk. These are people who don't fly commercially and whatever. And they're talking about a plane where the president will fly on. That's their example of savings. That would have nothing to do with DOGE, by the way. And they're talking about a private plane for the president will fly on. Okay. Competence and caring. Now, this is my example. One example that I want to give you. It's from Rachel Maddow on competence. An example of competence, or is it an example of competence? Roll it.
ABC News reporting tonight that the Trump administration accidentally, totally didn't mean to fire the people working on bird flu. No idea how that happened. Now the bird flu experts at USDA, they are trying to hire them back. They did this with the National Nuclear Security Administration as well, which we talked about on last night's show. Now it's with the bird flu workers. Oops. What does this button do? Does anybody know what this button does?
Pause, please.
I thought I should ask because I just...
This sounds like something I would say. I had no idea that our styles were so much alike because I did not get to watch Rachel Maddow that much when I worked at CNN, and I don't watch that much cable anymore. But this is some shit that I would do. Oops. What does this button do? Rachel. Hey, I'm glad I'm sort of rediscovering Rachel. I didn't really get to watch her, but she's right. Sorry. Side note. Go on.
Just a minute ago, I just pushed it. Does anybody know what it does? Got any other buttons I can push?
It's like the kid getting on the elevator and pressing all the buttons. And the parents like, don't do that. Why not? Because you're inconveniencing a whole lot of things and it's not necessary for you to do that. And if we want to get to where we're going efficiently, there is a system in place to be able to do that. And because you're a kid, you don't understand that. So the most efficient way to get to where we're going is to press the button to where we're going. And you don't take all of these side things that you just because you don't know what they're doing. And you may think like, you're going to floor 9 and then we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to discover something on 2. We're going to, I'm going to discover there's a new adventure on 3. Oh, there's a new adventure on 4. When your mom or your dad is saying, we got to get to 9 because there's shit we got to do there. All these other things are being taken care of by something else and they have nothing to do with us. Okay. In this interview, well, let me give you one more example of what, when we talk about competency, because you remember, oh, I forgot to mention the big one, right? The big one. Maybe I shouldn't have said that with this. Producers, you guys know where I'm going. The big one, the condoms. Excuse me. The Gaza condom gate. Rubber gate. I crack myself up. When they said it was like, $50 million, $100 million that they were spending, and it was like for a province in Gaza, Mozambique, not Gaza. It wasn't to the Taliban. They weren't giving it to Hamas. But that's what DOGE said, and that's what Caroline Levitt put out there. Competence. Jasmine Crockett talking about DOGE. She's calling them idiots. Rubbergate.
Involved in a hearing with Elon Musk about condoms, right? Do you remember this whole?
It wasn't with Elon. Elon, if you're watching, come through, boo, because you haven't shown up to the DOGE subcommittee yet.
Right, and you called him out at that subcommittee.
Yes.
But this became weird because Buddy Carter, your colleague from Georgia, started talking about how we were giving condoms to the Taliban, and then Donald Trump himself. Then it became about Gaza, but that would have to have been about 7,000 condoms per person. And then he said it was just Hamas, which none of it made sense. But it caused a lot of people to have to run around and follow the story and find out that we give condoms as part of USAID to prevent the spread of HIV to a place in Mozambique called Gaza province.
Correct.
This is the nonsense we have to deal with here.
It's not even just nonsense. It's just that they're idiots. I mean, these are the same guys, remember, as it relates to our nuclear stockpile, right? They're like, oh, wait a minute, we needed those guys?
Yeah.
Oh, can we get them back? Oh, we don't know how to. Like.
So, okay, competence. There you go. Competence and condoms. Who is it? Someone I just saw in the comments said that's a lot of ... That's a lot of whatever. 15 million taxpayer dollars for a Super Bowl. Someone in the chat says, "Yep, well, there you go." And you're worried about $15 million in condoms to stop the spread of HIV, so that you could help folks, and also so that it doesn't come here. Because we're a connected world. We're a connected world. Now, there have been lawsuits filed, and they're filing lawsuits, and people are upset, right? Because they're saying that DOGE does not have the authority to be able to do what it's doing, that these DOGE folks are non-elected people. No one elected them to be in charge. And so now they're filing suits. Some of them, the Trump folks are winning, but the lawyers are flailing in court. That's according to the reporting. The reporting says, put it up there. It says the lawyers are failing in court. Flailing. Trump's lawyers are absolutely failing in the courts right now. And then it goes out to show how Judge Reyes is saying, It's incorrect as a biological matter. You understand that, right? So just going through just sort of the testimony in court. And this is about male versus female and all of those things and biology that they don't understand. Perhaps they don't understand that there are intersex people as well. But this whole idea about a democracy versus a bureaucracy, or democracy versus an authoritarian or a monarchy, do you tell me if you understand, if you think these folks understand the difference between a democracy and I'm trying to figure it out, and then we'll go through it. Here it is. This is from the interview. Here's the interview.
Okay. Why are they reacting like this?
Well, first of all, do you give it flying rip? Oh, number one, and
Well, I guess we must be over the target or doing something right. You know, if like they wouldn't be complaining so much if we weren't doing something useful, I think. But what all we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet. And you look at, say, DC voting, it's 92% Kamala. Okay, so we're 92% Kamala. That's a lot.
they don't like me here either.
I think about that number a lot. And
Yeah.
like 92%. That's basically almost everyone.
Yeah.
And so, but how can you, if the will of the president is not implemented, and the president is representative of the people, that means the will of the people is not being implemented. And that means we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. And so I think what we're seeing here is the thrashing of the bureaucracy as we try to restore democracy and the will of the people. Is this making sense? I mean,
No.
No, of course it does. I mean, to me,
Okay, no. Number one, did Donald Trump talk at all during that interview? I mean, look, we're just getting clips. I did not watch the whole thing. We're just seeing clips. I'm just going to be honest. So I just want to, for context, did Donald Trump do almost any talking? I mean, I'm sure he said something, but it's almost like the Oval Office impromptu meetings with the Sun or whatever, where Donald Trump is just sitting there looking. First of all, 92% Kamala. Do they know? Because Sean Hannity said they don't like me here either. Washington, D.C. is 92%. Washington, D.C. is not, I shouldn't say 92%. It is overwhelmingly African American. That's what, does that mean, does that what 92% Kamala means? 92% of people voted for Kamala Harris, or is it because Washington, D.C. is overwhelmingly African American? Most of the people who work in Washington don't live in Washington, D.C. It's either like Northern Virginia, Alexandria, like they live in the suburbs. So the will of the people actually, in a democracy, it's not just one person deciding. That's why we have three branches of government. The Congress. When you say the Congress, that means the Senate and Congress. So the Congress is made up of the Senate and Congress, right? That's the legislative branch. And then you have the judges in the judicial branch and the president and the executive branch. So all three branches of government are supposed to work in tandem. So it's not just the president who gets to decide these things. That would be called a monarchy, or what? A dictatorship, or authoritarianism. Because you have one person saying, so that's actually not how a democracy works. Why do I feel like a professor this morning? So if they actually wanted to do this, what they would do is point out what they believe are inefficiencies in government. Then they would hand them or show them to the president or show them or give them to the Congress. Because Congress controls the purse strings to say, we have found inefficiencies and waste here. This is a recommendation from us. We've given it to the president, and now we're giving it to you, so you to be able, so that everything works in tandem. Chris Olson says, why is he speaking for the president? Trump looks defeated. I don't know, Chris. I can't answer that. But I did find like that's, you know. So that's not what he's saying. Like it's not bureaucracy that is taking hold. Bureaucracy or bureaucrats, that is part of how a democracy works. You have bureaus that do certain things. So that we don't have someone who can just come in and say, what I say goes, that's it. No president should be able to do that. Executive orders don't really work that way. Although they do, they believe that they do. Now, this one I want you to listen to very, 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 very closely. Are you guys listening to me? Microphone. I want you guys to listen to this one extremely closely. Because this is, again, saying that the president should be able to do whatever he wants. That's at least, look, I don't want to taint it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Listen.
The president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible
Go back to the
and
beginning.
good for the country. The president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented, you know? If you take, for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order where, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for illegals. And yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, you know, we went in there and we're like, hey, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. It needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the DOGE team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out.
Okay. Now, listen up here. When they say that the president is making recommendations or executive orders that's actually good for the people. Okay. Casual Observer has it. Casual Observer, put up that comment, please, from Casual Observer. Casual Observer says, isn't that Congress's job? That is Congress's job. So it's actually not how it works in a democracy. There's actually how a democracy is supposed to work. The president is not a king. And so you can do certain things with executive orders, but executive orders don't override laws. The president can veto legislation, but he doesn't get to decide what the laws are. And guess who is saying you cannot do this? Now, what he's saying is, now listen, tell me if I'm wrong. He's saying you cannot do this. The judges are saying, federal judges are saying no. Because right now, Congress is, people are yelling, saying, Congress, what are you doing? You're not stopping this stuff. So it is federal judges who are saying, stop it, no. In some instances, they're saying, well, this is within the scope. But then there are other instances where they're saying, no. You don't have the authority to do that. And it sounds to me like he's saying, but the president's word should go. What the president says, boom, with his scepter, should be put into place. And that's actually not how a democracy works. The courts should not stop executive orders. So that's why I say this was like Drake's attorneys watching, excuse me, Drake's attorneys watching Kendrick Lamar's halftime Super Bowl with their laptops in hand. There's a full screen that says Trump's executive orders arguably declares himself above SCOTUS. What is this one from? Can we put this up, please?
This was his executive order last night.
Yes. Oh, this is the big one. This is the big one.
Yes, it's hard to know exactly what this means, but if you read it broadly, it would put Trump
It means
ostensibly above the court.
he's the king. Is basically what this means.
One could read it that way, yes.
He is an executive order declaring him the authoritarian, the authority. New Trump executive order issued last night says the president shall provide authoritative interpretations of law for the executive branch. When people say, "Oh, you're in a constitutional crisis," we're heading. Maybe we're heading. No. I've been telling you guys, we are. The president and the attorney general, subject to the president's supervision and control, shall provide authoritative interpretations of the law for the executive branch. The president and the attorney general's opinions on questions of law are controlling on all employees in the conduct of their official duties. Hold it right there. Do you remember what I said about you guys? You guys never listen to me. Why don't y'all listen to me? When I said to you guys that the president will say, "I am acting within the official bounds and authority as president of the United States, and the Supreme Court has granted me that right." And then I said to you, he's going to say, "Anyone who is carrying out my orders is also acting within the bounds of their duties." Did I not say that to you guys? So there was no ramifications that they could do things with impunity. Did I not say to you guys that? And that is where we're heading, and that is where we are with this executive order. Do you see what it says? The president and the attorney general's opinions on questions of law are controlling on all employees in the conduct of their official duties. I'm not a lawyer, but that's what that sentence says. What I said. Now, this may clear it for you. No employee of the executive branch acting in their official capacity may advance an interpretation of the law as the position of the United States that contravenes the president or the attorney general's opinion on a matter of the law, including but not limited to the issuance of regulations, guidance, and positions advanced in litigation unless authorized to do so by the president or in writing by the attorney general. That should scare the shit out of you. Because I told you guys the first time was a test case. This time, not only are they going to push the limits on what's legal and our Constitution, they are going to break the limits and set the limits on our Constitution. And all they have to do is set a precedent, get a court to go along with this, and then it is law. It is precedent. It's law. You guys don't hear me. You don't understand the ramifications of this. I'm not an attorney, but I did go to college. I did go to school. And that's what this is saying. How's the SCOTUS going to react? Margarita on the Rock says, well, we don't know, but I would think that the SCOTUS, who said, Margarita on the Rocks in the chat, that the president can do whatever he wants as long as he's acting in the bounds of the president or acting as the president of the United States, that he would suffer no consequences and that he can do it. That's how the SCOTUS is going to react. Elections have consequences, people. And for all of you people who are sitting around saying, oh, I didn't go, I'm third party, I voted for Jill Stein, this is your fault. You did this. So don't complain. Don't complain when you say, you know, when I spoke to the young lady, she goes, I voted for Jill Stein because, you know, this was happening here and blah, 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 blah. Don't complain that your rights are being taken away. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, look, there are Republicans who are not happy, but they're not voicing it. They're afraid to. But they're not happy. They're also going behind everybody's back and they're pleading with the president and the administration, please don't cut our state in this with these funding, our state funding, because we will never get elected again because they know that red states, Trump voters, MAGA people will be what? Affected by it more than blue states. Because blue states pay for red states. That's just how it is. If it wasn't for the blue states, red states could not exist to the capacity. They would have much smaller infrastructure. All the roads and bridges, they wouldn't have any of that. All the stuff, you know, everything. But there are some Republicans who are speaking out. Mike Allen from Axios was on Morning Joe this morning explaining. They have reporting on it. Here's some of it.
Mika, this is the domestic equivalent of what you were talking about in the first segment about the new world order. So here on day 30, Jim Vandehei and I, for a Behind the Curtain column, went through day by day, executive order by executive order, and looked at Trump's boundary-busting provocations. And like what we're thinking about is, like, how can we sift out the noise? In the first term, everything seemed unprecedented. If everything is unprecedented, nothing is. So what really changed? What really matters? And as you look through them, a couple of them. One, we were just talking about taking prerogatives of Congress, things that are clearly delegated to Congress. Secondly,
this is a part of the interview where he's talking about the dangers of what he's doing, boundary busting. And then I'll play it. Andy, I'll have you start from the beginning when he was speaking about what was happening, like Susan Collins and whatever. But let's play through this. This one, this is not Jim Vandehei. He did this with Vandehei. There was a tandem reporting. Mike Allen talking about the dangers of what is happening here. And so claiming power clearly granted to Congress. Well, you saw the executive order that I just read you. Rewriting an actual Constitution amendment. You saw the thing that I just read you. Firing watchdogs. You know what's happening with DOGE. Empowering Elon. Profiting from the presidency. Well, it's Donald Trump. Doesn't care about the emoluments clause. Didn't care the first time. Doesn't care now. Also, all those what are those crypto coins or Doge coins or whatever it is that he has. That's part of it. And then the DOJ dictates. Okay? Here, let's continue listening to Mike Allen.
Empowering Musk and everything that he has done. How would Republicans like it if a Democrat was being given that kind of sway? Rewriting a constitutional amendment on birthright citizenship, firing IGs and watchdogs, the DOJ bullying, profiting off the presidency. All of these are all things that are going to last. And these are things that, as Joe was talking about, Congress is going to start fighting back against Congress and the courts. But I can tell you, I have lots of conversations inside Mar-a-Lago, inside the White House. They're ready for the fight. President Trump is personally ready for the fight. He thinks that the people are on his side. They said to me, not many Americans out there in most of America mourning USAID, and he's just fully willing to test what he can get out of the courts.
There you go.
That is true. Maybe many
can get out of the courts. and then they're going to want to set a precedent. Now, I didn't hear this part of what Caddy K. Let's listen to see if we want to hear what Caddy K says and how he responds. Let's listen.
Americans are not mourning USAID, although farmers who had contracts with USAID may start complaining about it. And I guess the question is, at what point does the haphazard way that these cuts are being made start to impact individuals to a degree that members of Congress then hear complaints? I mean, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already, but will there be a moment where your senator from South Dakota has his phone ringing off the hook because their constituent's daughter who's in a cancer trial is no longer in that cancer trial because that's been shut?
Let me answer that. That's already happening, and they're not doing anything about it. They're stuck. They don't know what to do about it. Those things, Caddy, are already happening. The folks here in our chat, part of the Lemon Nation, the Lemon Heads, are already saying that they are calling their congressmen, they're calling the Congress people, and they're saying to them, they said they even called Jasmine Crockett's office, and they said there's nothing. Now, that's what they say. There's nothing that they could do about it. Well, I want to hear what Mike Allen has to say, but they're already doing that. And I don't think that the Trump people care. I don't think MAGA folks care. I don't think Donald Trump cares. Go.
Because they couldn't go to the national park that weekend because all of the parks are shut. I mean, or has DOGE done this in a way that actually the impact on regular citizens will be minimal? I mean, I think that's the question: is the impact going to be big, and therefore we get complaints from constituents, including Republicans, or is the impact going to be containable, and therefore they get away with it?
Well, and to zoom in even more on that point, what happens when you hit the Trump base? What happens if you hit Republicans?
Right.
If you hit farmers? Now, what the White House says about
farmers
this
are already
is not
complaining.
only do they
The farmers are already complaining. Go on.
They think that they have the people on their side, and you have Elon Musk in the president's ear saying radical reform, radical reform. The people voted for radical reform. And what the White House told us, Jim Vanahay and me, for this story on Trump's boundary busting, is that people voted for us. We are now doing it. Letting bureaucrats, as they say, civil servants do it is the opposite of democracy. And they're just they're convinced that net these are popular, and they're willing to take the fallout you're talking about.
Well, okay, so here we go. So Andy, go back to the beginning, please. I want to hear. There are some people, I don't think that they're strong enough. And I hate to use Susan Collins as an example, because Susan Collins is always like, I'm extremely concerned, or I'm going to write a strongly worded note where no one cares. So just go a little bit into what, we don't have to hear the thing, but here we go. Let's go.
Right. We have barely heard a peep from Republicans on the Hill about what's happening down the street. But this is starting to build. So Axios is just up with a piece from our Hill squad, the growing GOP DOGE revolt. And you have powerful Republicans, including Senator Susan Collins of Maine, saying, whoa, a couple things here. One, why is this being done so hastily that, as Ed referred, they're having to go back and undo some of them? Why are they trampling on our prerogatives? And this is where the fight is really going to come, right, is over these agencies that they're trying to shut down or sidelines that Congress sees as its prerogative. Congressman Don Bacon, Republican of Nebraska, saying measure once,
measure twice,
cut twice.
Measure twice.
So some would say that's
measure twice, cut once. That's where we are. And look, yeah, Congress is going to get mad, and they're saying the only reason they're going to get mad is like, wait a minute, then what are we doing? What are our jobs here? Why are we here if you're doing everything? And is that, are they going to get jealous and or just upset and say, hey, what are you doing? You're taking our jobs too. They're taking Congress's jobs too. Don't get it twisted. But then are they going to be so neutered that they have anything that they have any recourse? I don't believe so. I do believe so. I think that I think that we're in a terrible position. And I think the people who are in the worst position, who don't even realize it, are the MAGA folks, the people who are saying rah, 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 MAGA, Trump, the people who live in the red states. And not the rich, not the wealthy MAGA folks, but the poor people, as I always say, who go to the rallies, the people who are in the chats, the trolls, they're so dumb they don't realize it. I hate to say that. I should say they're so ignorant of the facts and how government and politics work that they don't get it. They have been co-opted. They're in a cult. And they don't know that they're going to be affected the most by all of this stuff. I hate to be the Donnie Downer here this morning, but that's where we are, folks. And during that interview, I did not see much of Donald Trump speaking. I saw a lot of the head of DOGE taking questions where the president of the United States would usually answer and take the questions. And then the president of the United States is just sitting there looking. Nora Campos is exactly 100%. Tanya Edwards says, are ill-informed. Speaking of the MAGA folks. Sharita Jones says he didn't. He didn't. Don't go, Don, says Susie. They are brainwashed, of course. Putin told Trump, Putin told Trump to Elon do the, I don't know, I guess do the talking, says MC. I don't know what that means. So that's where we are. But I do think that I don't think, as I said, I don't think that you should, all is not lost. But I got to be honest with you, and I got to tell you where we are, just like I've been honest with you the entire time since I've been doing this for almost a year now, not quite. When you guys didn't want to hear about Joe Biden, what I had to say about him, and it turns out I was right about that. You guys didn't want to hear some of the things I said about Kamala Harris, and as it turns out, I was right about that. You guys probably don't want to hear what I had to say about Donald Trump or about Elon Musk, and I was right. I'm right about that because I think about these things, and I must inform you. Tamala Peterson, thank you for your support. Called, and where are your Republican congresspeople out being that they are the majority, both chambers, wear them out? Okay, I think you're saying call them. I'm not sure exactly what that meant, Tamala Patterson, but I thank you for your support. I'm glad that you're a member. Welcome to the Lemonheads, Ms. Jazz. Welcome. We are seeing Trump support crying all over social media. Trump supporters crying all over social media. They simply don't care who they hurt, says Spoonie Mel. And thank you for your support, and thank you for becoming a member. Yeah, they don't get it, but they will. They think they're voting for their own interest, and they're not. I want to welcome all of our new members and all of our new subscribers. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button because it really does affect and help us. Betty Goodman became a member of YouTube on YouTube. Welcome, Betty Goodman, to the program. Princess 87 became a member. Welcome. Thank you. Maja became a member. Kim Spears became a member. Nicole Green became a member as well. You too can become a member. It's in the top of the chat. Do we put it in the top of the chat today? It should go in the top of the chat every day. Where's the membership link? Producers, why isn't it in the top of the chat? Did you guys hit the thumbs up? Do we have the poll in the top of the chat? Anyone? Bueller?
Hold on one moment.
Jason Mannett became a member on YouTube. Thank you for your generous support. I appreciate that. Look, pressure drop, says Evil Queen. Yeah, I see. Rob DJ says, I see it. I love all the gifted memberships, says Amanda Belcher. Thank you very much. Have you guys hit the thumbs up yet? That's the poll. Have you done it? Make sure you do it. Because again, as I say, it affects the algorithm, and then people get to do what? And the membership link, please, in the top of the poll. It should go there every day in the top of the chat. Rochelle White, thank you for helping to welcome the new members. Angela Calloway says, no poll today. It's up there now. Hit that thumbs up, says Metal Mama 1987. Thank you so much. It's in the chat, and they're going to post it. They're going to put it. There it is. Okay, so if you want to become a member, the link is in the top of the chat. And we appreciate your support. LaDerek Green, thank you for your generous support. So, guys, what do you think of the membership is by your name automatically? Good. Thank you. Okay, so, guys, what do you think of this? Cat Dan 63 says the goal: eliminate both the legislative and judicial branches. Nobody will have a job. All Republicans have been given checks by Elon, the e-god. Now, I don't know about that. Is that really? I don't know if that's true. The check part. Okay. Someone says Jasmine Crockett is now something I don't know what that says. It's going by too fast. Lomax Legrand III says we're going to be all right. I hope. Patricia Bouchard, 93%. Patricia, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about Washington, D.C.? Why aren't the former presidents speaking out about this, says Emma Laguerre? Well, former presidents don't really usually like to criticize sitting presidents. They don't like to do it unless, and I think it's an emergency. I think all hands on deck. I think that many people, including the media, are normalizing this, and that's why we are where we are. Where is Nancy P, says Tasha Michaels. Nancy Pelosi is dealing with her hip and all that stuff, but Nancy Pelosi is no longer in leadership. They need some new folks. They need some new folks. Is Musk an American citizen, says JJ 5 stars. I think he is a citizen by now because he's been here a while. Someone in the chat says, I'm still cool with MSNBC. Yeah, they do. I think they do a good job, especially their primetime folks. So, guys, look, thank you. I'm going to see you at 5 p.m. Eastern today. I appreciate you joining. Today was about education, and I wanted to educate you. And not every educational or something where I'm giving you the information is going to be as exciting as some of the things when I go off on my rants sometimes, but it is important that you know this stuff so that and again, as I told you, I'm not going to bombard you with everything, but I'm going to show you the important things, as I showed you the important parts of that interview last night that they did over on the Fox News. That's important. Kip Johnson, welcome. Julie Simmons, thank you for your support and welcome as well. Pamela Joyner, welcome. Are you related to Tom Joyner? Pamela, love Tom. Kathy Coe, welcome to the Elimination as well. Joan Hansen, welcome. Glad that you're here. Kay Alexander, welcome to the Elimination. Pocahontas QN30, welcome to the Elimination. Jared Marin, welcome to the Elimination. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so make sure you hit the thumbs up before you head out of here, and make sure you subscribe to our channel and become a member if you can. Okay, I'll see you at 5 p.m. Eastern for Lemon Live at 5, and it won't be so educational. We're gonna talk some stuff. We're gonna talk our shit, as they say, at 5 o'clock. Okay, so I love you for watching. Turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.